Welcome everyone tonight to the Sports Talk with Jim Monaco, Tony Monfero. How are you guys today?
Really good,
Awesome.
Jay. You?
Good, good. First things first, before we get into talking football, just wanted to mention that the Ontario government came through today, $18 million towards our new West End complex in Sault Ste. Marie. So to me, that's huge. Your thoughts on that about the West End, Jim?
I think it's awesome. I mean, we need a new rink. McMeekin was basically unusable for the last little while. It's nice. It's good for the West End. I live down here, so it's nice. Hopefully, they throw a bar in there and they do things right, and we'll see how it goes. But it's good news.
And Bono?
Yeah, I think it's great. I mean, it's about time. It's long overdue. We obviously need new rinks here, and I don't think they're going to have any trouble selling that place out. So,
yeah.
And now to get into talking football. Right now, Jim, like we talked about off air, you guys will be more or less preparing next week for the opening of the Sabercat season and no football. So we thought we'd have you on as the expert for the Sabercats, and Bono's going to spearhead this, and I'll jump in when I can. Go ahead, Bono.
yeah, I think we'll just talk about the Sabercats briefly. Jim, kind of, with the new legislation and what the government came out with, it sounds like sports like baseball and stuff like that are going to be trying to potentially run something, come June, maybe July. Where are you guys at with the Sabercat program and with football in Sault Ste. Marie this year?
Well, basically through SAFA with Sue Minor and Sabercats organizations together, we had been talking about running camps. Kind of like we had been. I don't know what's changed now, right? With the new after this new lockdown, how much stuff has changed. They had told us we could have 50 players on the field, 50 people on the field, including coaches. No parents in the stands, no one in the stands. 50 in the facility, basically, is what they told us. Not an outdoor facility, but 50 in the area, right? We had to do a proposal for every color code. So we had to do a proposal and tell them what we were going to do in red, what we were going to do in green, what we were going to do in yellow, every color. But the colors are gone, so I don't know what that means anymore. So as of right now, we're in total limbo. I don't know what's going to happen. If we go back to state, I don't even know if anyone's working with the city right now because no one's been in contact with us. So we had planned on running having a bantam group, a junior varsity group, and a varsity group running practices, getting you guys, Bono, out to coach and run some drills and stuff like that, limiting it to 35, 40 players so we can have room for coaches. But that's really in limbo and on hold right now, waiting for the new rules to come into play. It's easier for a place like soccer or baseball to come in and say, yeah, we're going to play, because they have facilities, right? Soccer uses the Strathclair field. Baseball has Sinclair Yards, or whatever we call it, at Strathclair. We don't really have that. We could use Superior Heights, but we don't know if they're going to give it to us. Stuff like that. So we're a little more tricky. We'd have to limit our numbers. We'd love to get the younger kids out there in the Sue Minor level too, but it gets tricky when there's no parents around and stuff like that. So nothing was concrete. Nothing was decided upon. We were working towards stuff though.
That's good. So when would be the cutoff? Saying, hey, you know what, this is going to be the last day that we're going to hopefully have something.
Bono, I think if you start getting into the mid to late July, we're getting late, right? Because we're all still hopeful of a high school football season. So we don't want to stretch that kids that are going to play high school ball too far close to their season. SAFA, including all of Sue Minor and basically all the Sabercats, has never operated in August. Would we go a little bit into August? Yeah. I mean, I'm just talking. We haven't really. There's nothing been concrete enough even to make decisions. We fired ideas around. I know we got Phil Lucchetti. He did all the proposals for what our plan would be. And really all we were doing was getting our foot in the door and just saying, okay, yeah, if we can get a field, we do this. And then we were going to decide if it's reasonable to do it or not. So that's basically where we stand there.
Okay, that's good. Jay, anything else regarding the Sabercats before we get into Jim?
Jim, thing is, I had asked you off camera, and like again, not that you know or anything like this, but for some reason, if the boards of education here in Sault Ste. Marie doesn't allow football in the fall, has the OFC discussed at all possibly having a fall season so that it replaces the high school football?
Yeah, the OFC has discussed possibly having a fall season if the high schools don't go. As far as we're concerned in Sault Ste. Marie, there is no way we would ever do anything to step on high school football's toes. If high school football's a go or even a possible go, we wouldn't go. if high school football was definitely not being played and there was a fall league for the kids to possibly play in that was all on the up and up and all legit and all safe, then SAFA would consider doing that. Another possibility you could see, and I'm not trying to step on anyone's toes, but if there's no high school football for sure, you could see SAFA run a local league for the kids that age too. It's something that is possible. It's really hard because you don't know where the things are lining up and where the rules are going to be. So it's tough to guess. But high school is the priority in the Sioux, though, and everybody knows that.
Exactly. And I use today, for instance, we're looking at 916 cases, and the last average is 1078 for the last 7 days. So looks like it is helping. It is coming down with these vaccinations, right? So hopefully we will see something.
Yeah, I mean, the whole world seems to be opening up except Ontario. I don't want to be political or negative, but this seems to be the truth. There are 550 fans at the big Leaf game tonight, though, so maybe that's promising. I don't know.
Yeah, but
Depends how you want to look at it, right?
I know you guys do your Tuesday NHL show, but is that saying something about the Leafs that they have to give away jerseys to get 550 fans in the stands?
Well, I don't know if that's a promotion. I mean, they're giving away the tickets, they're giving away the jerseys. I'll give the Leafs a lot of credit for that. In Montreal, they had 2,500 tickets and they had to buy them, and they ended up being scalped, and tickets were going for $2,000 a pop. And so I'll give the Leafs credit. They're giving tickets away to fully vaccinated healthcare workers, and I think that's pretty good. I wish there was a few more fans there, but hey, it's better than none. It's progress, I guess, right?
Exactly. It looks like we're headed in the right direction, hopefully, right, Bono?
Hopefully, yep.
Hopefully. All right, Jim. So I'm kind of excited to do this with you tonight. So we're going to kind of talk about kind of your upbringing, how you got into sports, how you got into coaching, kind of your journey. And then we want to talk a little bit about your career at St. Basil's and St. Mary's. So, this is something I thought about for a while. I think there's a lot of fascination with high school coaches, in general, or just coaches in general. So we're going to call this a conversation with a coach episode. So I appreciate you doing this. But Jim, what I want to talk about first is just kind of talk about you growing up. Obviously, you grew up in a sports family. Your dad really well known in the football community here in town and in other sports. Just kind of talk about what kind of led to your love of sports at such a young age and why you were so attracted to it.
Well, Bono, I told my wife that I was going to be the guest tonight, and she said, "What are you going to talk about?" So that shows how exciting she thinks I am. But anyways,
yeah.
I mean, I grew up with football. My dad played. He played in university at the University of New Brunswick. He had at one point had a scholarship at Michigan State way back in the day, but the year he was supposed to go, they canceled all out-of-state scholarships, so he couldn't go. So he ended up going to the University of New Brunswick. Then he ended up going to TICAT camp, and he signed there. It was 1964. My sister was born, and she was a baby. And my dad was working in the steel plant, and he decided that he couldn't go because he was making more money at the steel plant than he was as a player. He still has his contract. It was $3,200 to play for the TICAT. So he come home a little while later. He was coaching high school football. He come home a little while later, and him and a couple of his buddies got the idea to start up the Sault Steelers. So 1972 was their first season. 71 they started doing all the work, and that was when they got going. 1972. I was born in '68, so as a young person, I was always at the football field. I was the king of being at the football field. I remember hanging out there and hanging out with the guys, and a couple times I went with on the bus with the guys, and it was the best thing ever. And there was guys. I can name a couple guys. I will in a minute. They treated me like gold, and it was really, really great experience for me as a kid. I always remember. It's funny because these are guys I crossed paths with as a coach. Walter Vial, when I was young, he treated me. He always come and see me, come and play catch with me. And another guy, it was Marty Smith, and he'd always come and play catch with me and throw the ball. And he always was amazed that I could catch everything. But then I grew up. I mean, I played catch with my dad outside every day, and he gunned footballs at me like there was no tomorrow. So we grew up in the game, and it's different, Bono. And in my day, there was no Sault minor football, right? You went the first
me
time.
Too.
You too, right?
Me too. Yep.
Yeah. The first time I stepped on the football field as a player with equipment on was grade 9, and that was an experience. So that's basically how I got into it, and then all took off from there.
So your dad, a lot of people know your dad as this kind of big football guy, big burly football guy who's done so much for football in Sault Ste. Marie and across Ontario. But your dad also was a deacon, right? And he's very involved in that aspect of his life. Growing up in that, kind of seeing the two aspects of your father, what was that kind of like? And how was your dad able to separate, his work with the church from kind of the football environment where it's a little bit more strict and a little bit more intense, right? Yeah.
Well, it's funny. In the younger days of the Steelers, I remember being as a small child, my dad and he always had players over and they had big parties, and it was always going on. But he never really changed much when he became a deacon. He still liked to have a good time, and I think that was part of the appeal that people had to him as a deacon. He was just a normal guy, and he knew people well. He could relate to them, and he's a great guy. And I always grew up, and everyone would always say, and I look like him, right, and sound like him, and everyone's like, everywhere I went my whole life, are you Len Monaco's son? Are you Len Monaco's son? And it's funny because everyone used to always say, oh, you're so lucky. He's such a nice guy. But when he's your dad, he's not. Eh? He's maybe to you he is, but he's awesome, and he did a lot for football in the city, and he's the best. So
that's awesome. So growing up, obviously, I'm assuming you started playing hockey like most other kids. I kind of picked up on that a little bit. So obviously you played hockey at a young age. And what were your early memories of sports? Was hockey the first sport you started to play?
Yeah, at a competitive level, I started playing hockey when I was young. It's funny, I was really, really shy when I was young. I'm still pretty shy. I know people don't believe that, but I was really shy, and my parents put me in hockey only because of that reason. That was the main reason. They wanted me to interact with some people, and it took me a little while to get going. I was a good hockey player when I was young. I played rep hockey all the way through until around bantam age, and but times were different then, right? We were outside all the time. Like we played football in the schoolyard. We played baseball, bach. We played hockey on the rinks. We were always outside, always playing everything. We did everything. So that it was different.
Also, I'd like to point out you did just reveal your sister's age on camera, so
I did.
She's gonna be too happy.
She won't mind. We all know how old we are now, so it's okay. We're not trying to hide it anymore.
That's right. So once you got to high school, for those that don't know, kind of talk about where you went to high school. Your high school playing career. What positions did you start playing? What did you want to play? Those types of things.
Well, I remember when I was in grade 9, and this is the truth. I was afraid to play because I didn't know a lot of people, and like I said, I was really shy. I was afraid to go on the field, not physically, just for the interaction and stuff. It was hard for me, and I think that's one thing Sault Minor football really helps with. Everybody knows everybody, right? So I remember telling my mom like 2 weeks before, I don't want to go, but I didn't have that option. So I was going no matter what. I was small. I wasn't small. I was short, and I was kind of chubby. I was like about 5'5", about 145 pounds when I was in grade 9, and I wasn't very fast. And I wanted to be tight end, and I'm kind of undersized for that spot. I wasn't fast enough to be a wide receiver, and we kind of went, and I didn't really have a position to play. And when we got there after the first couple of weeks, my dad said to me, and my dad was the coach, and he said to me, you've been catching the ball so well. We're gonna use you at tight end, and we'll work on your blocking, and you are a little undersized and stuff like that. And I had a good year. I ended up catching a lot of passes, got a couple touchdowns as a grade 9, and then I grew. And by the time I was in grade 10, I was about almost 6 feet, and I was over 200 pounds. So when I went to grade 10, they asked me to play senior football. Now at that time, it was different because it was 5 years of high school, right? There was right through to grade 13, and generally you played junior football till grade 11. So it was a different time. So I was in grade 10. I went up to play senior football. In the first game, I went and I didn't play very much, and it was hard because I was better than the guys that were playing ahead of me. I have no problem saying that, but they didn't want to play a young guy over an old guy, so I didn't understand why I was on the team. So I asked to go back down to junior, and I did. I went down to junior for a couple games. We didn't have a very good game, then I ended up finishing up the season and back with the senior team, and I played quite a bit. And then from grade 11 and grade 12, I was a tight end. Played tight end, and I played defensive end, and caught a lot of balls. Had a couple good years. Made the All-Star team both those years, and then the All-Star team was different back then too because they voted on every position they voted on, and that's a crazy thing. And then when I went to grade 13, Jim McLean was our coach at that time. He said, "I want you to move to running back." And you know what? At that time, I didn't like that idea at all. I was about 6'1", probably about 250 going into grade 13. And I was going to play university football. I had talked to some scouts already, and I wanted to become a better tight end, and I didn't like that idea. But you know, it's different that day and age. You do what your coaches tell you. So I moved to running back. I had a really good year, and then I signed to go to Ottawa. And then that summer I played Steeler ball, which was a ton of fun. I was 18 years old. I had a blast. It was a great experience for me. We had a couple. We started off really good. We really faded, and great experience. I wouldn't change it for the world. And that was it. I went to Ottawa after that.
Now, when you went to Ottawa, talk about how that went for you when you were down there.
Well, it didn't go well. I mean, I wasn't. I had played all summer, and I had gotten beaten up quite a bit, but I was fine. Like in my mind, I was fine. So we go to Ottawa. I do the testing, and I mean, recruiting is so different back then, right, Bono?
Yeah.
They don't know me. They've never
know.
seen me play.
No.
They only think I'm good from what they've heard from my coaches and the coaches against me, right?
Yeah.
And so I went there. I was supposed to be the starting fullback, and I would have been. And we did our testing. I ran a grade 40. I had a great vertical, lifted really well. I was ready to go. But when we did our physical, it came back that I had bone chips in my shoulders. And they told me, and it's a different time, right? They told me that I could either sit out for 6 weeks with no contact, or have surgery. And so I wasn't going to have surgery. So I said, "Oh, I'll sit out." Well, I went to about 1 or 2 practices and watched everyone hitting, and this I couldn't take it. It was just not what I wanted to do, and it wasn't a good thing. And so I went home, and then I went back to go to school. I didn't last long, though. Drank a lot of beer and ended up back home. And then next year when I went back to Windsor, I didn't play football anymore. So yeah, I regret that a little bit. I don't know that I don't regret the leaving Ottawa, because I don't think I could have sat out 6 weeks. It was tough, and I was just raring to go and show everybody how good I was, and I love the contact. That's what I did best, and so I left at that point, and that was a long time. There's a lot of Sioux people there too.
Yeah.
Jim Daly was the coach in Ottawa, and he had come up to the Sioux, and he was trying to create a pipeline, and there was 7, 8 guys from the Sioux there, and it was good. So it's funny actually, because Dylan was getting recruited by St. FX a few months ago, and he said, "There's a coach there that knows you." And I said, "Who's that?" And then it was Jim Daly. It was a kind of funny.
Really?
I don't know how much he likes me. I left there, but
yeah.
So
Fun. When you came back, did you play for the Steelers anymore, or was that the end of your career?
No, I went to play for the Steelers the following summer, and I had gone to the meetings and stuff like that, but they folded. There was no team, and that was a span of, I don't remember how long the Steelers were away. Remember the Steelers came back as the Sioux Storm with Jamie Bialki had started up and all that. So so that was
that would have been the early to mid 90s, if I'm not mistaken, I believe.
Yeah, if they came back. So I'm talking around 89. I came back and we didn't play. So so there was no time in there to play. So I never played again.
Yeah. So then obviously, that kind of wrapped up your playing career a little bit, but what about your coaching career? So, obviously, Jim, like, you're a legendary football coach at Sault Ste. Marie, and you were at St. Basil's for years before moving over to St. Mary's. Kind of talk about how you got into coaching at St. Basil's and kind of how that all started.
Well, that's funny, because I was working, I had gone to Windsor first year of university, and I was home for the summer. I was going to go to Lake State the next fall, and I was working on the docks on the steel plant. And Jim McIntosh, Jim McIntosh?
Yeah.
I played Steeler ball with him. He's a friend of mine. He played at McMaster, and a very intense guy. And we were working. He was working with me on the docks, and he came up to me and he goes, "You interested in coaching football?" I said, "Yeah, what do you got going?" He goes, "Well, they're starting a new football program at St. Basil." He said, "Walter Viel is the head coach, and they need coaches. I can ask him if you can come out and help." I said, "Yeah, I'd love to do that." So, and I didn't even know there was a new high school starting, to be honest with you. That's how out of it I was at the time. And so
Mr. Shy himself.
Yeah.
Right. So this is the first year of St. Basil football coming up, right? So he comes back the next day. He goes, "Yeah, come on out." So I went to practice the next day. Right away, I was the offensive coordinator, and we had no one that had ever played football before, and we never won a game, but we had a lot of fun, and then we got good after that, and pretty quickly because everyone stayed in junior. So it was a lot of fun. I think I took over as the head coach the year. I don't know if Walter stayed head coach for one more year or if I was the next year. And then once we started senior ball, I moved up. The first St. Basil senior coach was my dad. I asked him to come on as a figurehead, and he came on. He did 1 year, and then I was the head coach after that. And I kind of flipped around with Robbie Z between head coach and OC. But yeah, I spent the whole every year there was football at Basel, I was there.
So I was going to mention Robbie. Obviously, you coached with Robbie for a lot of years. How did that relationship start? And how did you get him to come on board? And how long were you there before Robbie came on board with you?
Well, I had played high school football with Robbie. Robbie's 2 years younger than me. It's kind of funny, actually, because one of the reasons they asked me to move to running back was because they were getting Robbie Zagordo to be the quarterback. He was grade 11. He was going to be in grade 11, and they weren't sure how well he was going to throw. Well, I mean, Robbie's the best quarterback the Sioux's ever had. Yeah. So he was my buddy, and he went to play. Robbie Z went to Simon Fraser for 1 year back in the day when it was a big thing to go there. But he then transferred to Windsor. He was a starting quarterback there. So when he was done his playing days at Windsor, he came back to teach here, and then I asked him to come and coach. So I think I was maybe 2 years without him, and then ever since then we've coached together.
So, you coached for a lot of years. I have some memories coaching against you, playing against you as a coach, which we'll talk about in a bit. But, over how many years, Jim, would that have been, were you at Basil's?
I never know. I'm terrible at that, Bono. It's got to be 20, right?
Yeah. So,
I'm terrible at that stuff. So
over your
a lot of years.
Yeah, over your years, obviously you've coached a lot of kids. You coached a lot of teams. Just talk about a couple of your favorite teams that you had and why you really enjoyed those years and why they kind of stick with you.
It's funny, Bono. We had a lot of good years early on. We were really good, and the trend at St. Basil, I know you want to talk about later, was losing in the finals. We had gone a couple times to the finals. We had a really good team. Probably one of our best teams we had coming was the year of the strike. We were really, really strong. Yeah. But you know what? We came after the strike and we were bad. We came back as a bad team, and we had probably 4 years or so when we were a bad team, and that was hard. But we did a lot of work. We rebuilt our program, and we came back really strong and had a lot of good runs. We had a lot of really good teams, a lot of really good players, and a lot of fun. And I think anyone you ever talked to that played there would tell you how much they loved playing there. So we had a good run. It was really good. As far as pointing out teams, I'm terrible at that, Bono. I'm terrible. I'm terrible at years. All my years run together. So great teams. Great players, and you want to talk about players, I'll talk about players if you want.
Yeah. So obviously you've coached a lot of players in your day. If you were to name a couple off the top of your head, who kind of ranks up there as the cream of the crop for players that you've had the privilege of coaching?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to forget guys. So I go back to the days. I remember when we first started. Guys like Timmy Hamilton was an awesome player. We weren't good yet, but he was fantastic. I go. Mark Porco and Frank Porco, his brother, and Rob Amadio, all that gang. The Reveal family, we had them all. They were all awesome. James was fantastic, and he was so tough. They were all good players. Then we get into some running backs like a Kyle Mamarella. He was just a small guy, but so tough. And he was an excellent Sault minor player before that. And it's funny because you look at the guy, he was about 140 pounds, literally. You can give him the ball 30 times a game and he'd run like a truck. And, that we had the Hoover boys. Joey Plastino was a fantastic player. Mitch Mazuka, awesome. And he was a guy, just a great kid. So many. I know I'm forgetting so many guys, so it's tough.
So, Jim, you did it for so long, and, you were in a tough program, brand new program, all this, obviously there must have been some frustrating times for you while you were at Basil's. What kind of gives you that, that drive, or what kind of gives you that inspiration to just kind of keep coming out and giving so much time to football, and especially to that school during those times?
Early days at Basil all my time at Basil was great, honestly, Bono. Early days at Basil was fantastic. Bob Barbo was the principal there. He treated us like absolute gold. I mean, he'd take us for dinner before the game. He'd come out with us after the game for a couple friendly drinks, and he was awesome. And he treated us great. And the nice thing about Basel was we ran our own program. We handled the money. We ordered all the equipment. They never bothered us. And Jimmy Petitella was the athletic guy at St. Basil, and if we needed him, he was there. But they basically let us run what we wanted. We ran a great ship, and it was good. And you know what was fun? It was real. One of my highlights and one of the things I was proud of stuff is when we had a bad team. I remember sitting down with Robbie Z and I like, what are we going to do here? And we had a meeting, and everything we said we were going to do, it worked so well. We got young guys to come coach with us because we were getting older, right?
Yeah.
Like when you're young, you're cool, right? You're a cool coach, and then you start getting 30, 35. You're not that cool anymore.
Yeah.
So we brought some young guys that had just finished playing in to be connections and stuff like that. We changed the offense. All our plans worked, and it was great, and that I was proud of. Then we always had great support in the school. We just had those few lean years that were tough, but other than that, it was good, and it was really a special place to coach.
Yeah, it's fun. I had the privilege of my first head coaching job at high school was at St. Basil's junior program, and we had quite a bit of success there too. We made quite a few finals. We did win one championship, which was nice with Ryan there. Yep. But you're right. That was one thing I always appreciated about Jim Petitella. Was Petitella would give us anything we needed to succeed, and he kind of just let us do our thing, and it was really nice. It was, it was a good school to coach at, so I can definitely see that. I wanted to give you a chance too before we get into a little bit more of the record and things that you were doing out there. Obviously you coached with guys like Kleber for a lot of years. You obviously coached with Segordo for a lot of years. You had a lot of the same coaching staff. Kind of just talk about the guys that you had with you and kind of what they brought to the table and why you think that it was such a successful, you guys had a pretty decent run there for such a long time.
Yeah, I'll try to go back over the years because we had so many great coaches. I mean, we had, I go back to the early days. It was Walter Vial was awesome, and Jimmy McIntosh was the most intense coach you'll ever find in the world. He was great. And then we moved up. We had Dan Plastino. Pucka came aboard with us, and he was great to be around. We kind of went on a lot of years, and there's years when there was just like me and Robbie Z and Pucka, and then we started getting, and then we went to like the big 12-man coaching staff. We were known for that, and it was fun. John Maione, who I forgot to mention as one of our best players we had. He was awesome. He played at Mount Allison, and then he came back. He coached with us for a lot of years. He was great. We had Coach Mark Cady as our defensive coordinator for about 6 or 7 years. Love the man. He's just awesome. My favorite thing about Mark Cady is that you would coach, and then of course you went for beer after, right? You went for beer, you went for wings, and when you walked in on Monday for the first practice, Cady was giving you a breakdown of the food, of how the beer was, and that was his favorite thing. He was awesome. He was great to coach with, and kids liked him. He was good to coach with, and he was awesome. So we had a lot of great guys over the years.
So my first memory of you, Jim, and I've never told you this before, but I was absolutely petrified of you for years. And the reason being was my first game in senior, we were playing against you guys, playing against Basil's, and you guys ran a toss to the outside. And I'm a pretty big guy, and I can't remember who you're running. It might have been Chico, actually, Chico Amaral. And I ran Chico down, and I tackled him for a short loss on your bench. And we were jumping around like idiots on your bench. And I looked at you, and I get up, and I turn and look, and I realize that I'm 6 inches away from you. And you didn't even say a word. You gave me this look like if you jump around or do one more thing, you're going to regret it. And you didn't even have to say a word. And I stopped instantly, and I moseyed on back and walked back to the huddle, and that was it. But ever since, I was petrified of you, and you didn't even have to say a word. So it's funny how that works, right?
Well, I was a lot more intense when I was young, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah.
No, I'm not. My older years of coaching, I kind of I've gone more to a figurehead guy, and I let other guys run the offense and defense and stuff like that. And that's my choice. I like that. When I was young, I was right in the middle of everything, and I was very intense. And we used to get a lot of shouting matches. I still do once in a while, though. It happens once in a while. And It's funny. I was thinking of a story the other day when we were talking about the unwritten rules of football.
Yes.
I remember coaching the Sabercats in the summer, and when we had played Sarnia in Sarnia at the beginning of the year, it was my very first game as coaches, first game as coaching the JV Sabercats. We played Sarnia down there, and they beat us. They were terrible. Like, they had a terrible team. We made a bunch of mistakes. They beat us, and they had gotten really cocky, and they ended up in a three-way tie for first at 7-1. It was us, Chatham, and then. Anyways, they lost out on the tiebreakers, and they had to come here. And they whined and whined and whined about coming up here, like everybody. This is Sarnia. It's about 5.5 hour bus ride through the States. I mean, who cares, right? They thought it was the worst thing ever, and it was so frustrating. And I said to the other coaches, we're going to kick the shit out of this team. So I don't care. So they come down, we scored. Onside kick, got it. We scored. Onside kick, got it. It was 21-0 before anything even happened. So we got up about 42-0 at halftime. And my rule is play your starters for the first half. You gotta play a regular game.
Yeah.
Once you get up, no more fooling around. Let's get the backups in, and let's do what we got to do. It's straight time. Let's go. Yeah. So we got our backups in. They get the ball. It's 42-0. They start the half, and they score. Fine, right? Well, they try an onside kick now. I mean, we got all our backups in and everything. And to me, that's a no. Like, we're running out the clock. Yeah. Be nice. To me, they broke the unwritten rule. So I said, let's go. Starters back in. And their coach is just looking at me like, what are you doing? I said, you want onside? And I yelled at him. I said, you want onside kick? We're back on then. So we went down. Two plays later, scored, and that was it. And he was so mad at me. So that's kind of fun stuff. I used to get in a lot of conflicts with coaches over the years. That's one thing I hate about Superior, Bono, is being on the same sideline as the other coaches too. At least at Old Rocky, you got to be a part on the other side. So, but I used to yell. I didn't yell at you though. I must have been nice. So.
No, you were good. Yeah. But you know what? Listen, as much as I love Superior Heights, I've been you and I have had this discussion countless times. I cannot stand coaching on the same sideline as the other team. It's terrible for the game. So, Jim, we're gonna, I was a little bit apprehensive to bring this up, but I know this is what people wanted to ask you about, and people are wondering. So, obviously, there was a stretch there at Basil's where you guys made a whole bunch of city finals in a row. And you guys were unable to kind of get over the hump. Just kind of talk about that and what that experience was like, and just kind of how that made you a better coach in general.
Yeah, that was the thing. A lot of those years we were not the favorite though, so that makes it a little bit easier.
You're right.
There were times we were, but I'd say if we made the finals, I don't even know the numbers. I think we made the finals 6 or 7 times in a row. And we were probably the favorites only 2 or 3 times, so that makes it okay. There's a couple of them that really bother me. That we kind of blew. I remember in the early years at Basel, we had, it was really early years, John Maione years. Greg Arbor was our quarterback, and we went to overtime. We had lost. Jimmy Clemente was the best running back in the city by a mile. He was awesome. You guys wouldn't remember him. He was awesome. He got hurt, like he broke his leg in the first quarter. So we had to patch it together. We turned the ball over a bunch of times. And then we went to overtime. And the overtime in that time, and this is, early 90s, if I remember correctly, the overtime at that time was the ball on the 10-yard line. Imagine that, the 10-yard line. And we got the ball first. We got the ball first on the 10-yard line. And we had run slot counters and bootlegs the whole third and fourth quarter. And that's how we came back, because we were down, and we came back, and we called one on 1st and 10, and we lost yards. 2nd and 17 now. And so we ended up going to 4th and 12. We hadn't kicked a field goal all season, and they're coming right after us, right? Like they got the ball to 10 next possession, and they could kick. So we went for a touchdown. We called this little bootleg pass, and the guy caught it, and there was no one around him. And he just turned really soft and got tackled on like the 1-inch line. The Dunn ran 3 dives and kicked the field goal, and we lost. And that one hurts. I remember losing not that long ago with Mitch Mazuka was on the team. JP Stefanizzi was the quarterback. We had a really good team. We were the best team in the city. JP had thrown for, I think we played I think we played a 6-game season. JP had thrown for 1,000 yards. Yeah. Mitch ran for like 800. We were unstoppable, and we came out flat, really flat, and we ended up tying it up, and they won on a missed field goal. We kind of knew what they were going to do, and that one hurts me because I think that was a case where we were probably 14 points better than them, and we just blew it, and you get one shot, right? That's it. Yeah. So there's a couple that bother me. There's a couple of games that I'm proud we even got there. We've actually lost a few finals now, even at St. Mary's. But none of those games we've been the best team. So I think sometimes if you can give them a fight, and you're not the best team, and you go down, it's okay. The league was so different back then, Bono.
I know.
You played it, and we had 6 teams. Sometimes 4 or 5 of them were good.
Yeah.
So and it was tough to get there, and I remember one year we went undefeated and we lost in the semifinals, and it wasn't even a shock that we lost to a good team. So the league was different then. I mean, it doesn't bother me that's what we're known for. I don't think. I mean, I guess it affects me a little bit that maybe people think a little bit less of me as a coach. I don't care about that anymore, though. I coach because I like being around the game. I like being around the kids. I think I teach kids to respect the game. Yeah. I think I can help kids become a better person. And if you want to measure me as a coach by city championships, then I don't care what you think anyways. Yeah. So it doesn't really, really bother me, but I like to win, absolutely. So.
Yeah. I don't think you're known for that. I just think it's something that gets brought up from time to time.
I think I am a little bit, though. I think people talk about it. That's okay, though. It really doesn't bother me. It's just it is what it is, and maybe I don't plan on quitting coaching just yet. So I don't know what I'll do next year. If I'll be a head coach again, we haven't crossed that road yet. With Dylan playing football out of town, I might want to be a little more flexible to be able to leave town. But other than that. I'm the longest consecutive coach in the city by a long time now. For the while there, Marty Smith and me were guys that had coached the longest, and he took a break, and then he came back and coached with us for a little while, and then. But I think consecutive years I'm by far the longest, and I really like the kids, and that's the thing. Keeps me young a little bit.
I'm still heartbroken for you guys over that game that you guys lost. It still bothers me that there was. It still bothers me that how that game ended with when you guys had Mitch and JP. You guys had that big play at the buzzer, basically. Topan had the touchdown catch. Was that the year of Stefanisi and Mazuka?
No, that's the year after.
Oh, that was the year after. Sorry,
I think I don't remember. I think Mitch is the quarterback at that time. I don't
really
remember.
Yeah, Mitch was the quarterback. That's right.
Yeah, the thing about that one is that was another game. We were pretty even teams, and we actually didn't play really well. And then the only good thing about that, what happened there was that we got a long touchdown on the last play of the game to potentially tie it. We still would have needed a 2-point conversion, but to potentially tie the game, but we got a flag for too many men on the field. The only thing that saved me there, Bono, from not being devastated, I saw the flag right away. So we're running the play. I see the flag. I think it's a hold, though, because I don't know, right? We run the play. I think it's a hold. I know the touchdown's not going to count. I wasn't even really watching the play. I was thinking about what we were going to do next. And we end up scoring a miracle touchdown to Dave Topan, who was both the Topan brothers are also other guys I forgot that were great players. They're great and a pleasure to coach. We got a really long touchdown, and it came back. Too many men on the field. The only thing that bothers me about that is we had been in a package this series before, a heavy package, and what happened was we went back to the regular package, and we ran 5 plays with too many men on the field.
Right. Yeah.
We went back to the regular package, and an extra lineman came on. Now, as coaches, we should have saw it, but it's a frantic time.
Yeah.
I mean, and I hate to blame refs for anything, but you would think that maybe one of the 5 plays before they would have thrown the too many men. But I mean, it's on us. It's not on them.
But not only that, Jim, and this is what bothers me about that is you guys still should have had an extra play. You guys should have had one more play in that game, because if there was a too many men on the field penalty with, I think there was 4 or 5 seconds left when you ran the play. Yeah. That means the penalty should have happened then, and the whole play shouldn't have lasted, and then you guys would have had 3 or 4 seconds to run one more play.
Yeah, we would have another play. We were on our own 30 though, so it wasn't like
No, I know.
a promising situation. But yeah, you're right. I remember that now that you say that. But yeah, I mean, I could tell stories about losses forever. I got the best ones. And but one good thing about me is my memory's not that great, so I can. If you remind me about something, I can talk about it forever. So that's how I am. So
I'm the same. So before we go here, because we're running a little short on time, I kind of want you to talk a little bit about the transition from St. Basil's to St. Mary's. Obviously, that was a pretty contentious time, with St. Basil's closing and the amalgamation of high schools. Kind of talk about your emotion throughout that and what led you, to have to put on the maroon, a school that you've been competing against for so long.
Yeah, I mean, that has one thing about St. Mary's, St. Basil. There was a rivalry there for a while, but we always got along as coaching staffs. Like I mentioned earlier, I know Marty Smith my whole life. I know all those guys. I like all those guys. They're all good guys. And we had talked about this possibility in the past of us all coaching together. So in that regard, it was good. It was the first year was awesome. We got together. We made we had meetings. Coach Smith decided not to coach. If he had coached, he would have been the head coach. He decided not to coach. Dave Squigna was the head coach at that time. He decided he did not want to be the head coach, so I was the head coach, and then that's how that decision came about. We had worked a lot of stuff. Our staffs got along great. The kids got along great. The only problem there was we had to practice at Basel because the field wasn't ready at St. Mary's. It's still not ready, but that's a different topic. Yeah. And we had to practice at Basel, but the kids were awesome. We had an awesome year. We lost in the final against I don't remember if that's Cora or Superior Heights.
I think it was Superior. Yeah,
Superior Heights at that time, and they were way better than us. And we gave them a really, really good game. We had a chance to tie it late. Pass fell through some fingertips, or else, and we might have scored. And we gave them a really good game. And then when you come back a little bit, there's a little bit. I mean, we've been a little bit lean there, talent-wise. We have trouble finding quarterbacks, and I'm not trying to insult the people that have played there. We just never have had that stud quarterback since we got together. I mean, St. Mary's in general hasn't had a really good quarterback. Even back in our Basel days, it's been a long time since they've been strong at quarterback. So it's good. I enjoy it. I like the guys. Go for a beer after the game. That's all that matters.
Absolutely. So before we let you go, I want you to talk a little bit about your family. Obviously, the amount of support that you provide, you do a lot of work with Sault Minor football. You do a lot of work with hockey in Sault Ste. Marie. You're at the football field every Sunday in the summertime. Kind of talk about, your family and kind of the support that they've been and provided you over the years too.
Oh, we're a football family, Bon. That's what we like to do. Christiane came to the field all those years and worked in the trailer and helped out and stuff like that, and she was great. And Mackenzie played. You coached her. She played football, and then Dylan's still playing. And that's just what we do. We love it, and we miss it a lot. It's just not the same without football, right? It's tough. And I mean, for me, honestly, it sounds silly. And I don't go out much. Like I know you guys know me, but I don't do much, right? I'm not a very social guy, and that's my social time, right? I go out. I love being around the players and the other coaches and having some, talking about it, and that's what I do. And the pandemic is hard for me, but I feel bad for the kids more than anything, because the kids, their time is going away, right, Bono? Like they don't get to play. I can coach until I'm 80.
Yeah.
They don't get to keep playing. And I tell kids that all the time, Bono. I tell kids that all the time. We have our first meeting of the season, and I say, man, you guys are so lucky to be playing football. They have no clue. No. You're so lucky to be on this field. They have no idea. And they look at you like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah,
whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah, they don't know. But then you see them 5 years later, and they're like, you were so right.
Yeah.
I miss it so much. And I tell them too, you're going to talk about that football game that you lost 28-21 for the rest of your life.
That's right.
And again, they look at you like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
But then you hear them, and I see those guys, and they ask me about it. And I talk to some guys, and we're talking about their old games and stuff like that. So it's sad that some of these guys don't get to play, and hopefully we get back on the field for that reason, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny. I'll tell you a quick story about Mac. So when I had the pleasure of coaching Mac when she was in her last year bantam, right? She was able to play, and we had our very first practice. And this is back in the day when we used to do pit drills and stuff, still, right? And we did a pit drill, and I remember some kids coming up to me, some good football players who would come up to me and say, "Coach, I don't want to hit a girl. Like I can't do it. Like I just can't hit her." And Mac went in the very first play and just completely ran over I remember who it was, I won't say who, but completely ran over a really good player. And by the third practice, it wasn't that, "Coach, I don't want to get hit by a girl." It was, "Coach, I don't want to go against Mac anymore. I don't want to go against her." We had to find people to play against her. So she definitely had that Monaco gene and still does.
Yeah, she was tough. I remember my first year coaching Adam. I don't think we called it Adam back then. No, what was it? Mike?
No, it was we called it. It was Tyke.
I had both my kids on my team, and because they were a couple years apart. So Mac was older, and she was really good and tough back then. And I remember watching her play. She's tough, and I always tell I'll tell you a funny story about Dylan. The first time he played football, big Dylan, eh?
Oh yeah.
And and I always tell everybody this because I get questions, and you know this, Bono. My son is 7. Can he play football? Right? And I'm like, yeah. You want to put because it's 8 to 10, right?
That's right.
You want to put your kid in football at 7. You can put your kid in football, but I'm going to tell you right now, it's hard. It's tough, and they're gonna really have to be tough. And so, anyways, Dylan starts playing football when he's 7, and he's a big boy, but he's 7, right?
Yeah.
And his first game of football, he's gonna kill me for telling the story. The first game of football he plays, he's up against a 10-year-old guy. He's playing center, big, strong 10-year-old guy, eh? And he's kicking the shit out of Dylan. Eh? He's just kicking the shit out of him. But Dylan stays in there, and he hangs in there, and doesn't say anything. But he's okay. We get in the car, and he starts bawling. He's bawling. He was pushing me. He was hitting me. He was pushing me. I said, Dill, that happened to you in practice, too. I mean, the guys in practice are hitting you and pushing you, too. What's the difference? I know them, he says. So I still bug him about that every once in a while.
That's awesome.
It's a tough game. It's good for you.
Well, I'll tell you this. I've had the pleasure of coaching both your kids, and Dylan, I've coached him in a couple different sports. And, obviously coaching kids of people who come from an iconic football family can be a lot of stress, and a lot of times the kids can be cocky and that type of stuff. Not with your kids. They were always extremely respectful. They were easy to coach. And not a bad thing to say about either one of them. So, great kids, and that's a testament to the job you guys obviously did as parents and are doing as parents as well.
And I always appreciated you guys coaching the kids. I mean, I never wanted to be their only coach. I never wanted to have that, because I'm a big believer in that you learn something from every coach that you have. Even if he's a shitty coach, you learn something from that guy, and you need those experiences. And the only times I ever coached Dylan was when I had already been coaching that team, right? Like when he went to St. Mary's, I had already been coaching St. Mary's, so it was normal for him to come and play for me. So I never. He's in a position too where you don't I'm not giving him the football. I'm not. So it's different. I always feel it's really tough to coach a kid if he's in a skill position, right? Bono, if you're giving out your carries and your son's a running back, I would never want to be in that situation.
No.
And I know some coaches, and it's okay. I'm not insulting the coaches that do it, but it's a tough situation.
And I definitely always appreciated that too. There was a lot of talk that Dylan might go play senior right in grade 9, right? And you let Dylan come down and stay with us in junior. And I think he had a pretty good season, and I think he progressed a lot as a football player. So.
That was good, and I actually got a lot of heat for taking him up in grade 10, but I don't have any question that was the right thing for him as a player. But I'm big on that, right? I'm big as a coach on bringing guys up to play at the level they belong at. I brought a couple guys up at St. Basil, grade 10 guys, like Eric Bringleson, who was a really good player. Yeah. Joey Plastino was an all-star in grade 10. He was such a great talent. Why would I let him play junior football? Yeah. And I know a lot of people don't believe in that. We just did it, right? We just brought up Nick Carter, and and Jacob Brown play, and they fit
Jacob
right
Brown.
in and were big contributors for us. I know sometimes the junior programs don't appreciate that, and that's okay. That's
Yeah.
I get that too. They want to coach those kids, right? And they want to make them better players. But
Well,
that's just how it goes.
I'm not there anymore, Jim, so you can take up as many players as you want. It's not going to matter to me.
Yeah, and I never had that issue with you if it came up anyways. And I'm not saying I had issue with certain people.
No, I don't.
It's a touchy subject. I get that, and I know the year when Dylan came up and he was Dylan in grade 10. Dylan was our best offensive lineman on our senior team. And
Yeah.
There's still some people that didn't think I should have brought him up, but
Yeah.
I don't
It
really
is
care.
what it is. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Jay, anything else for Jim?
Yeah, the last thing before we let you go, Jim, we're going to have Chantal Boucher on in the next couple of weeks regarding the Central Canada Women's Football League and trying to bring a franchise here for women to play football. Can you see Mac putting the pads back on and playing in that league?
I don't know. I haven't talked a lot to Chantal about that. Like I know, like Chantal's been wanting to start women's football for years. She always asked me, and I always said, Chantal, you get it going. I'll help you do whatever you want to do. You want me to coach? You want me to do whatever? So now she's got something in the works where this league is starting up. She's trying to get a Sioux franchise. Chantal's a fantastic volunteer. She'll do all the work she has to do, so they're in good hands there. But Chantal wants to play. So I don't know if they're looking for young players. I don't know if what they're going for. So so that's the kind of questions when we get Chantal on here, we'll have to ask her. I don't know if Mac will play anymore. She's going to teacher's college, so she's kind of moved on. She had a chance to play for Team Ontario a couple of years ago. Someone had asked her to play, someone that knew her, and but it never ended up happening. So I don't know Chantal's plans. If I told Chantal I'd help her in any way, I think that she's going to join SAFA. I haven't even talked to Steve about it. If she joins SAFA, she can use our equipment, and that'll keep some of her costs down. So I hope she does that. I'm all for it. I think women's football is fantastic. Bono will attest to the fact that we have had a lot of really good girl players over the years. Lots of them, and we love when they play, especially when they're young. They're really, really good players, and and a lot of them don't go through it all. So a lot of them don't end up playing bantam. So, but
and the last thing is, and just so people know, next week we're gonna have some of the local OHL draftees, players that are drafted to the OHL on next week, just so people can watch for that. And with Sioux Sports and the Sports Talk, we got some big announcements coming next week. So I hope everybody stays tuned for that also.
That's great.
We got a good lineup coming up, and then we got Paul DiPietro on, and he'll be fun to talk to.
Yeah,
so
that will.
We'll get him and Dom on together, so with all of us, and we'll have a few laughs. And Bono, prediction for tonight?
Oh, geez.
It's tough, I know.
Toronto, I think Toronto's going to win by 3 or 4 goals, just because I think they should. But yeah, Jay,
you think they're gonna get 3 or 4 by Price? He's been pretty awesome.
I do. I think the Leafs are going to win. Yeah.
The only problem is Foligno is not 100% and Muzzin's out. So
yeah.
Well, Foligno wasn't making a difference when he was 100% either. I mean, that's my opinion.
Yeah. Who do you like, Jim?
I don't know. I'm not going to say Montreal's going to win, but Price has been really good.
I know. So, all right, before we wrap up, I just have one last thing, Jim. Obviously, I've known you for a lot of years, and on a personal note, you've always been, super supportive of me as a coach, and basically in every aspect that we've tried to do. So, really appreciate that, and thank you for all that you do here in Sault Ste. Marie. You do a lot of stuff that people don't even know about, right? You put in so many hours with different organizations. So, thanks for doing that, and you're definitely making the Sioux a better place. So, keep it up.
Well, thanks for the kind words, Bono. And the thing you got to remember is I don't support every coach in the city, so I must like you. So take that as a compliment, because that's the truth. It's just what I love to do, and I enjoy being around the game and the kids. I said it a million times already tonight. It's nice, and then we get to spend time with people like you, and that's what I like. So
yep.
Bono must have started when you were on the ground there in front of Jim years ago.
You have no idea. I tell that story to my buddies. That was a story, Jim, when I was in university, before I even knew you, that was a story we would tell about you all the time, about how you almost made me crap my pants in the middle of a football game without saying a word to me.
I don't think, Bono, in all the years we coached against each other, though, I don't think me and you ever had a real conflict, though. And
No.
a lot of people can tell you coaching stories about having conflicts with me. Even like Phil Lucchetti always tells
Oh,
stories
yeah.
about me chasing him around the field.
Yeah.
So,
No,
I mean, we've never had any problems.
an issue. Yeah, that's right. All right, guys, I got to get back to work. Thanks so much, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, we'll see you guys tomorrow night. 7 tomorrow, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Thank
See you
you.
guys.
Sounds good. Bye-bye.